Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Let's talk about Bitcoin, what's been happening with the price, can we expect it to bounce back, and what's going to happen in the future for cryptocurrency as a whole. If you don't want to miss any of that important information, just like, subscribe, and comment your thought below. Guys, on a little side note, make sure you check us out at PTGRG. We share some great crypto analysis, more in depth, and we actually do some portfolio review and consultancy packages. So make sure you check us out. So guys, let's go straight into the video. What's been happening with Bitcoin? We basically fell below the 20K mark. We were testing. We were actually hovering between yesterday the $18,000 mark, and the reason why it went back up now we had kind of a bullish momentum here that drove the price back up to 20,000 in the last 24 hours. We saw roughly a 6% increase, and I think that the 20 mark was a significant price bench for Bitcoin, because people did not expect it for it to drop below that. Unfortunately, the bear market was stronger than the bulls, and so what we saw was this fall below the 20K. But on the good note is that this fall below the 20K was sort of a buying signal for a lot of people. And so Bitcoin since then has recovered above the 20K. What we need to ensure is that obviously we've entered a bear market, not just in cryptocurrency. I mean, we've seen every market going down, from equity, bonds. I mean, as interest rate rise, people are going a bit crazy, and people fear inflation as well. And with the fear index on crypto has been on extreme fear, because people are basically selling and holding on to cash. What was really the opposite of what we used to do last year when we were testing these 70,000 level. So what we're seeing now is that we're seeing a lot of fear in the market. And that's due to a couple of reasons, but we do have positive sentiment. What we saw is, for example, you have that El Salvador says that the Bitcoin investment will grow immensely, as he sees it sort of as a buying opportunity. The president took to Twitter on Sunday to reassure the Bitcoin investor, claiming such investments are safe and will grow immensely after the bear market. What's interesting, some fast facts, is that my advice is to stop looking at the graph and enjoy life. If you invested in BTC, your investment is safe and its value will immensely grow after the bear market. What's interesting is that if you're a new investor, this is a great time to get into cryptocurrency. If you've accumulated some cash on the side, this is a great time to start slowly buying on a daily average, so that you can actually average your cost at the lowest if we haven't reached the bottom yet. But what's interesting is that you have a lot of negative sentiments related to Bitcoin, but you see that countries are still backing it up, right? So El Salvador says that he reportedly bought 200 Bitcoin before adopting the cryptocurrency as a legal tender back in September last year, and it was last known that he owned 2,301 Bitcoin. And the value of the Central American countries' Bitcoin holding have reportedly fallen by nearly half amid to the current bear market. And last week, El Salvador Finance Minister Alejandro claimed that the country's Bitcoin exposure will have minimal impact on its fiscal health. And this is good, because it shows that people are always saying, you know, crypto is so volatile, Bitcoin is no longer what it used to be, we're entered a bear market. But like anything that goes up, it must come down, right? And what we had is a massive bull market back, right? If we check back, we were testing huge level back when even for example, when Elon Musk was saying that he would implement it with Tesla, and we had a lot of institutional investors. What didn't reach the 100,000 mark, I think, in my opinion, was the ETF that should have been released, right? That was the only positive sentiment that a lot of investors were waiting for. An ETF that would have allowed all the people that do not want to invest in crypto to buy in US dollars an ETF that's actually correlated to the price of crypto. But we can expect that, and we can still have positive sentiments for that to happen in the long term. What's also interesting is that you have Canada's Purpose Bitcoin ETF that liquidates 50% of its holding in a single day. This shows why you're having a bearish market. You're having big institutional investors also rethinking their own position. Over the last weekend, BTC witnessed a heavy selling as the BTC took a drive all the way to 18,000. Since then, it has recovered, as we've seen. But what's seen is that, citing data from CoinGlass, Arthur Hayes, the co-founder of the crypto exchange 100x, writes that Canada's Purpose Bitcoin ETF sold a staggering 24,500 BTC by Friday's close. And it means that they sold 50% of their holding in a single day. I don't really know what was the reason behind this, but it shows that you have extreme fear in the market. And when there is blood in the market, guys, there is money to be made. So this is a good time to have your eyes open on what's happening, because this means that potentially we'll be able to buy it at a heavy discount. And as said, that over the weekend, the BTC price took a drop under 18,000 all the way to a low of 17,600. And it smelled like a forced seller triggered a run on stop, as written by Hayes. And Hayes further expects more such event of forced selling, as the crypto lending market has some dark stories to tell. And what we're seeing is all these lending crypto exchange are left in very complicated situation because they have to hedge their position, right? And this is leaving in a lot of forced selling and a lot of corrections. What we're also seeing is that BTC will whipsaw traders to 100,000 this year, says Blockstream CEO Adam Back. And here's how. But and I strongly believe that. I don't know if it's going to happen in the next year, but I can say that in the long term, I could very much see BTC reach 100,000 because what we're seeing is that Adam Back, which tells that his 481,600 Twitter followers, that he expects that the US Federal Reserve to reverse its tight monetary policies before 2022 expires and create a macro environment conducive to the growth of Bitcoin. Everyone has their pet macro views. My guess is stock market plus US election season is that the moral hazard kicks up and that the quantitative easing ramps up again, rate drops again, money printer goes into overdrive, so the interest rate overhang falls off, and BTC decorrelates somewhere along the way once DeFi flushes. On top of a favorable macro backdrop, Back says that the approval of the much-awaited spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund could have leave many bears on the sidelines. And this is good news, right? So these are all positive sentiments in these blood times because we're seeing heavy corrections. And I think that in the future, we can expect the price to be driven back up for Bitcoin and for the whole crypto industry, right? Another news is that the Central African Republic bets big on Bitcoin. A group of Bitcoiners traveled to the Central African Republic to meet with the country's president and discuss a pathway for Bitcoin's adoption. And what we saw is that they are the second country after El Salvador to officially adopt Bitcoin as their legal tender for use in regular commerce and paying for tax. And Bitcoin is the blueprint for the new monetary system. It's apolitical and uncensorable. It's neutral and decentralized. It's guided by community, and it's orchestrated by code. And it's a better currency for the world. And I agree with these, even though you do have downside of Bitcoin, and we saw it. And the current, what I believe we are seeing is correction from a lot of mistake from people being overly confident on Bitcoin. And that's what we are seeing, these corrections. Also, people are accumulating cash. For some reason, a lot of the population right now think that it is best to hold cash because it will be a great buying opportunity. I do think that to a certain extent, but I don't think that panic selling will help in any case because you're not selling at your desirable price. So if you didn't sell at the highs, now is probably not the time to sell, in my opinion. But understanding the challenges ahead, the president talked about and he said that 7 Bitcoin experts spent a week in the country to understand the Central African Republic context better and identify the main factors that will encourage or inhibit the adoption. What was reviewed is that basically, in their recommendation, the group addressed what they saw as the challenges, which is the low access to electricity, internet. But what's Bitcoin successfully included favorable regulation, usage of mobile money, and only 5% of the population is banked. So what another interesting news that we have to talk about is Binance sees a deposit of 101,266 Bitcoin as BTC price crumbles. And what you saw is that Binance cold wallet rose by about 101,266 Bitcoin and reflecting an increased deposit by user onto the exchange. And the move comes amid increased selling pressure on Bitcoin as prices to the world's largest cryptocurrency slumped to their lowest level since late 2020. And what that means is that we are seeing a lot of news happening in the market, and it's important to stay up to date to make sure you don't miss out. One of the last news was that 3 Arrows Capital confirms heavy losses from Luna's collapse, exploring potential option, and they talk about what they could do to improve their position. So this, I'll make sure to cover this in the next video to ensure that you get what's been happening. But this could be potential good news for Bitcoin because they know that 3 Arrow lost a lot of money from Luna, and they will need a hedge against their loss, and Bitcoin could be the potential solution to that. So guys, if you don't want to miss any important news related to Bitcoin, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your thought below, and make sure you check us out. Links in the description to PCGRAG. And yes, see you in the next one. Bye.